I'm writing a paper on Nostradamus for an English class. So the first thing I'll be doing is going to Google. There's usually the first place I look whenever I search for anything. Nostradamus. Okay. Now I'll I'll usually go to Wikipedia just to read up about it, just to get a general feel for the subject because I don't usually use anything from Wikipedia because usually anything from Wikipedia is not credible, and if you put down a paper, you'll usually get a bad grade for that. So I do not use Wikipedia, but it's a good place to learn like a general feel for whatever subject. And I did Nostradamus, so okay. Next, this site looks pretty good. It's a biography site. Um, just talking about Nostradamus. So yeah. So I'll open up a Windows document and start typing.
This is wrong, right? Right. Right? Right. Right? Right. Is that a yes or a no?
Yeah, I seem like yeah, an ad playing or something. So yeah, so usually when I go to sites and I see pop-ups like that, I usually don't use them because usually sites with pop-ups is usually not credible sites. So yeah, I'll go to another site and look up his biography there. Okay, so uh, first thing I'll do is type up a little bit of about his biography. I'll copy a little bit, copy and paste it, then edit it to paraphrase it to make it look a little, not like I plagiarize somebody stuff. So all right, and there's a site that I use called Easy Bio. It's a site for citing websites and stuff like that. I use that so I can get the source and put the source in, and I do that. So for every site I go to and I use something new, I cite it so I will not forget. So okay, and then I just paste this, and then just copy, paste. Okay, and now I'll just copy that citation they give me, and I will. Because that's the only problem with this site is usually you have to add things that like you can't automatically find everything for you. You have to find uh the editor for the page and stuff. So usually if you view the source of the page, you'll find it. but I would not use that because, well, as I was scrolling down, I noticed that it say that they retrieve the information from Wikipedia, so that'll essentially be the same information that I don't want to use, which can be found on Wikipedia. So I'll move on to another site. Sometimes one would by itself too broad. You need to put a more specific thing to it. So I'll just search his predictions and whatnot. So I think this is an ad. Okay, so this seems like a pretty legit site. So I will be using it. Yeah, let's pause this video. So I'll just let's type a little bit of stuff from this about his predictions, some of the predictions he made. Yeah, and I'll quote it, and put so I'll just write. Oh, okay, okay. So right here he predicted the death of Henry II. So I'll just write. Um, Nostradamus is one of the world's most famous authors of prophecies. I'll put like one one of his most famous predictions predictions was the death of Henry II. And I'll just copy the code he made. Yeah, let's remove all this extra stuff they have there. And okay, so that's the code he made. And this is what it translates to. So I have okay, Nostradamus is one of the world's most famous authors of prophecies. One of his most famous predictions was the death of Henry II. The lion will overcome the older one. And then I'll just write whatever I translate to. So, which. And this I will copy. What happened to, I'll copy what happened to Henry and, place it as what like it translated to. So and there's a way you can quote, paraphrase, like quote from a site, inline quotes and stuff like that. Let me just see. Translate to Henry. Henry's death. Okay, and then now I'll put what happened to Henry, and then I'll copy the link. Usually, I'll just copy the link and place it on a notepad, a text document with nothing in it, and then I'll just name it sites used, and just paste the website I use in there. So later I can cite that website. And look, I seen something interesting about he predicted the Ebola virus or something like that. So I'll just see what happens with that. With Nostradamus, just have a lot of bogus stuff about he predicting all kind of things, but usually half of them are false. So you have to read through them to make sure that it's just not nonsense. And just from this, the way it's site look, I can tell that that site was it might be good because they have uh, they have like rights reserved. They have a CEO and all the information about their company down there. So yeah, but most of the stuff on those sites doesn't be true. So you can't just write everything. Okay, so now I'll be changing uh what I'm searching for more like um more specific predictions. So I remember they say he predicted 9/11, so I'm gonna search 9/11, and then some information will come up about that. Then I search about that, and I'll copy some of that information to a text document so I can read through later. And usually, if I'm not at my home, I will copy the links and email it to myself so I can read through it at my home because I usually research better at home than in the library or anywhere else. So, but it never hurts to cite everything that you want to use before you even use it. Okay. Hmm?
So, I'm going to do research on a presentation for technical communications. The topic of choice was playing the violin and why I think it's helped me. So, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think about what I know already. I've played it for 6 years. Well, sorry, I played it for 9 years. 6 years in an orchestra. So I have a pretty solid idea of where I'm going to go with it. But obviously, I want to supplement that with some kind of research. So, what I'm going to do first, I'll just go to Google. And one thing I try to do from here is I go into the theory aspect of why I play the violin, not necessarily talking in musical jargon, but why I'm playing it. So I'll just type in benefits of playing the violin. And there are a few, this is a blog, we don't really want that. And then there's a few websites. 6 benefits of music lessons for child development, intellectual development. Let's go with that. Develops academic skills, physical skills, social skills, refines discipline and patience. That's a big one. That's a really big one, especially when you're playing the violin. You have to be really, really meticulous about it. The slightest where you put your fingers matters, because if you put your fingers anywhere else, it's not going to sound the way you'll want it to sound. So you have to be really, really patient. You have to really, really work at it to get what you're looking for. What else do they have there? They have it boost self-esteem. You feel good about it when you play it. It's something that not a lot of people strive for. There's not much of an appreciation of the arts, so it's definitely a plus to have. And one thing about playing the violin or any instrument for that matter, you need to be really sure that you're going to commit to it. You can't skate through it. You have to treat this instrument with the respect that it deserves, because you're doing something that a lot of people would kill for. A lot of people aren't very musically inclined, so this is always a good thing. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to look for another one. They have benefits to playing the violin, benefits of not practicing any day, advantages and disadvantages, wonderful effects, calories burned. That's an interesting one. What else do they have here? Benefits of playing an instrument. This is a good one. This is another good one. It says the same thing, confidence booster. So it seems like this is universally seen as a plus for playing an instrument. So the self-esteem thing is something that I can really work in when I go ahead and put together the presentation. They also have here the greater intelligence over time, which may or may not necessarily be true. That might be more subjective, but that's another one that I'm seeing across the board here. They have perseverance here, which is very, very good one. What else do they have here? Helps you multitask better. You had a good memory of recalling the music you're playing. That's another one, especially when you're playing the violin. You're working muscles in your fingers that you don't normally work, and as a result of that, muscle memory becomes very, very important, and it allows you to translate the meticulous nature of playing the violin into actually doing research. Because then you go, okay, does this work for me? And if not, what is it about this that's not working for me? I'm going to go back and look for some other articles here. How playing an instrument affects your brain. That's another one. I'm going to make this more broad. I'm going to type in benefits of playing an instrument. That'll probably help. How playing an instrument affects your brain. 18 benefits of playing a musical instrument. Seems like a good one, so I'll click it. It comes up. It says here it increases your memory capacity, refines your time management and organizational skills. That's a very good one, because as a result of the amount of work that I've put into playing the violin, I don't put anything off. I do everything as soon as I possibly can. What else? Enhances coordination. Mathematical ability, counting. That's huge, 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 huge when you're playing an instrument. You need to know how to count. Sharpens your concentration, exposes you to cultural history. It's good. It makes you more multifaceted, and you're a lot less self-centered in a way where you have to look outside of what you're used to. Boosts your listening skills, teaches you discipline, elevates your performance skills, and reduces stage fright. This one doesn't really work for everybody, in my experiences. As for me, I have no problem speaking or performing in front of a crowd, but for a lot of people, it's a really really nerve-wracking thing. But you just have to relax, and if you prepare well enough, then you'll be more than ready. Increases responsibility, reading and comprehension skills, enhances your respiratory system, promotes happiness in your life. So that happiness, self-esteem, that seems to be a big one. So I can spend a lot of the time that I spent presenting this project on that and how just the way music makes you feel in general. What else do we have here? A USA Today article, National Geographic article, Live Science. That might be a good one. Is playing a musical instrument good for your health? Improve your health. It relieves stress. For some, it elevates stress, especially when you're actually making it. But playing it as a child keeps the mind sharper. And then they go into a study they did. They recruited 70 healthy adults, and they performed better. The musicians did on cognitive tests than those that had never studied an instrument or learned how to read music. So that's another thing I could work in there. I have a lot of facts to support this, but at the same time, I'm not going to only show the benefits. I'm going to look up the disadvantages now. You want to be as consistent as possible, and you want to paint the whole picture, not just one side of it. Disadvantages of playing an instrument. Okay, those are the advantages. Disadvantages. Oh yeah, expense. Well, that goes with anything that you dedicate a lot of time and effort into. It's not very cost effective. But in any case, I think it's, well, if you can, if you're able to, it's worth the risk. It's worth that risk. And then the time, yeah, you have to put a lot of time into getting to where you want to get. And you have to really, really want it. You have to make sure that you tell yourself, all right, no matter what, I'm going to get to where I want to go. What else do we have here? Musical lessons, reasons to play one, learning two or more at once, which I would advise against unless they can kind of overlap a bit, but that doesn't happen very often. So I wouldn't recommend learning more than one at once. And from here, we're kind of trailing off. So I'm going to go back to the first page and see what else we have here. Drawbacks of being a musician. This might be a good one. It says here, you connect with an audience as an advantage. As a drawback, it's subjective. Yes, it is. Very, very much so. So you have to be accepting of the fact that a lot of people probably aren't going to like what you do, but that's okay. That's okay. That's what's great about music. There's something out there for everybody. What else do they have here? A lack of financial stability, but that comes with a lot of things. You never know. You just never know with that. Solitude, writing and learning. It takes a good deal of time. So time, that's another thing I can really, really work in as a drawback. So I have two at this point really good bases for a pro and a con, where I can have the self-esteem aspect, what it can do to you, how it can sharpen your mind, make you more focused, make you more meticulous about a lot of things, which is something that I think people don't spend enough time learning how to do, is be very, very detail oriented about what they do. When you do that, it helps you in many, many aspects of what you do. What else? Meeting new people, obviously, that's a good thing. And then the training, yeah, you have to prepare. You really do. And then the time it takes is definitely, it's not easy, but it's not it's not something that, if the opportunity presents itself, you should probably take it up. In my opinion. What else do we have here? Irregular hours. Oh yeah, you have to be very careful about that because it inspiration will hit you at the worst possible times. So you just writing music is something that you can't really induce. So you just be prepared for that to happen. If you're learning how to play by ear, which basically means that you're able to hear a song, pick out the notes, flat, natural, or sharp, and actually play them and play them well, no, with no gaps and with fluency, which is something I've been able to do. And I don't know how you train for that, but should left-handed players have benefits of learning to play. So I'll look for more advantages and disadvantages at this point because I'm only scratching the surface. I only have 7 to 10 minutes to talk about it, so I can't really. But the thing about it is, since I have the experience, it makes it easy for me to conversationally talk about how, excuse me, about how it's helped me. So it shouldn't be too bad. But at the same time, you still want to do the research just to support yourself. And then you want to counter that with some of the disadvantages so that you're painting the whole picture. And so no one gets tripped up when they try to go into it and they realize that there's a lot more that goes into it. So that's always being consistent. Something you always want to do. Nothing besides a lot more. The role learning. This is about improvisation, which is an entirely different aspect of being a musician. And then I'll look up another article here. So far, I have two that I really, really liked. I like the live science one with the statistics that they have, and then they have one from the orchestraacademy.org where they talk about, and then they have one. Another, I'm not really going to use this one though. This isn't really a credible source. So let's see this one. Yeah, again with the self-esteem, again with sharpening the mind, intelligence. So I think those are the things that when you see that, when you go to article after article after article and you're seeing things that keep jumping out and that are consistent across all of them, those are the ones that you should probably pull out, write down, and try to expand on. So those are the ones. So the intelligence, the self-esteem, and as far as the drawback, time. That's the one I'm seeing a lot of. So that's the one that I'm going to go for here. And just like that, at this point, I can just finish up and take the articles that I have, give credit where credit is due, and then I can just start brainstorming for pictures and just maybe throw in some comic relief because it's always nice. Just keep it conversational, extemporaneous. You don't really want it. You don't want to preach to your audience. So I'll just look up musicians. Oops, musicians, and I'll go to Google Images. I'll see what's here. They have they have a violinist here. They have a band here. They have some street musicians here. I'm seeing a lot of orchestra guys. I'm seeing a guy playing saxophone. I'm seeing B.B. King. Who else do we have here? Quite a few. They have Elvis, Michael Jackson, Bob Marley, John Lennon. So I'm seeing a lot of Wynton Marsalis is here. I'm seeing a lot of pretty credible musicians here. They have Jay-Z here. Well, I don't know. He doesn't play an instrument to my knowledge, so I don't know if you could call him a musician. But what else? Yeah, so I'm seeing a lot of pictures here that I can really use. So, mm,
I am writing an annotated bibliography on the design and structure of plantation homes, specifically the big house, in southern or on all plantations for my FYE class, The Meaning of Place. The first place I'll go to is the Discover website that Georgia Southern offers through their library to find information. I go here for the scholarly articles primarily in their full texts, and I will start with just searching for keywords of plantation houses and seeing what I find and click full text only and scholarly journals only. And it pulled up basically nothing. Oh, might help if I spell it right. Make it all the right kind of sources. And then I narrow it down to the subjects, and hopefully they will have architecture and different things like that up to help with my annotated bibliography / paper. And for the topics that I've selected are plantations, historic sites, land use, house construction, landscapes, in hopes that they might end up pulling up things that include the architecture and design. And I scroll through looking at the subjects of the different sources and find something that seems to relate, like the house construction. And then I download the full PDF. And I'll read the abstract and skim through the source and see if it actually contains information that will help. This really did not have any information that could help me, so I will try another source. I will also look for specific houses that were back in the Civil War era and where the plantation house is, because they offer pictures that I can show, and they like this one has a lot of pictures, so this could be useful in just giving a basis for my research. And then this source looks like it will be fairly helpful in some kind of way, and I will take the MLA source and put it MLA citation and put it in a Word document so I can keep up with it. It also will give me, if I need to come back to the source to print it off, a way to find it again. And then I go and look for another source. This one has architectural reform in the antebellum South, so that seems like it may prove useful. And so again, I will just skim through, see if there are words that pop out that could be important. And what I might also do, because this also has to do with agricultural and architectural, I'll download the full PDF, and it may or may not work, but try to search the document for specific words. If it'll let me. It's loading. It's just loading page by page. And this could provide a more or less, maybe not an opposition, but a different way to look at the houses, because this wasn't your traditional plantation house. Because it wasn't the type that had slaves, it seems like, and it was anti-slavery, but it still has the same look of that big white house and large land. Let's see if it's, yeah. I'm going to take down the citation for this source, but it may or not prove useful, because a great deal of it is for agriculture versus architecture, but it does have a little bit about the difference in the housing. And then I go back again. Here is another one that is a specific plantation house, but these typically go into detail about sources I found similar to this, go into detail, but this is a book review that does not offer a lot of information, so it is not a source I would want. this is Architecture and Changing Nature of Slavery, and so this source might be good, and it looks to be. And so again, I just skim the sources. And it has lots of pictures, which again can help back up or support the design and architecture of plantation homes. And this tells of like how, just like on the first floor, how he wanted certain rooms, so that's design. And like a bedchamber and nursery. And it even has a floor plan of his mansion. So this is a credible source that involves a great deal of information and images to support the information and provide, in case you're a visual learner, another way. So again, I will take this source, the MLA source, citation of the source, and put it in a Word document so that I can keep up with the sources. And here is a source that contains a great deal of pictures that a university has changed a plantation into an exhibit. And because though the sources are for the annotated bibliography, the overall presentation can be a paper or a project, poster board, like any type, the pictures will offer a great deal of help. And so again, cite the source, take the cite of the source. And though I have 3 other sources and I spent 3 hours finding 3 other sources, I've now found 3, and I'll still continue to find sources because you can never learn too much. And I find it important to look through like the subjects of along the title of the articles or sources, the subjects, because some will look interesting and then you find their reconstruction, and that does not help with my going back to the time era that I'm looking at. So then we go to the next page. And it seems I have gotten through most of the ones that would be useful.
doing a research paper for public speaking class. My research is going to be about video game violence. I'm starting off opening up Microsoft Word so that I can put in any websites that I get my research from. I'm putting in, I'm labeling web for inserting any sites. Now I am opening up Google Chrome, and my first search engine is going to be google.com, because that's where I usually go for my research. Let's see. Well, I guess I should save or title my Word document as video game violence. My first search, the keywords I put in is violence, violence with video games. Search engine gives me violence with video games, youth violence with video games, media violence with video games, violence associated with video games. All these look good. I will probably look up all of them once I get through some of these, or once I look through some of these websites. I started off with youth violence with video games. Let's see. I do see an abstract. It's titled Violent Video Games, Delinquency, and Youth Violence. I'm clicking on that. Oh, it's currently unavailable, so I'm going back and looking for another site. I'm looking at another link from University Star. This is a student-run newspaper for Texas State University. The title of the link is Graphic Video Games Do Not Contribute to Youth Violence. I'm clicking on that just to take a look at it. This article is written by Ryan Pittman. His major is journalism. He's a freshman. Let's see. I do not see a date on this article. Let's see. Reception students. not seeing much fact or I'm not seeing much fact or proof in this article. I'm more so seeing Brian Pittman's opinion on video game violence. So I'm gonna go back and look for another site. I see another link with the title Violent Video Games are a risk factor for criminal behavior. This Iowa State University of Science and Technology. Let's see. I'm gonna click on this link, give it a look. This Iowa State University News Service. This was posted March 26, 2013. Title Violent Video Games are a risk factor for criminal behavior and aggression. Let's see. It says Matt Delacy, a professor of sociology, said the research shows a strong connection even when controlling for a history of violence and psychopathic traits among juvenile offenders. When critics say, well, it's probably not video games, it's probably how antisocial they are. We can address that directly because we control for a lot of things that we know matter. Let's see. He also says, even if you account for the child's sex, race, age, and the age they were first referred to juvenile court, which is a powerful effect, and a bunch of other media effects like screen time and exposure, even with all that, the video game measure still mattered. Let's see. The results were not unexpected, but somewhat surprising for Douglas Gentile and what was I? An associate professor of psychology who has studied the effects of video game violence exposure and minor aggression, like hitting, teasing, and name calling. He says, I didn't expect to see much of an effect when we got too serious to link with a criminal level aggression, because youth who commit that level of aggression have a lot of things going wrong for them. They often have a lot of risk factors and very few protective factors in their lives, Gentile says. What does this mean for parents? As if right now, this site seems credible, just because it's from professors who actually done research on the subject at hand. So as if right now, I'm going to copy and paste the web link, just so that I can look back on it later. Control paste. So that's going to be the first link that I have on my Word document. And now I'm going to go back to the Google search and see if I can find anything else. The impact of video games, media information for parents. Hmm. Video games do not make vulnerable teams more violent. I guess this link counters what Professor Gentile, what his point was. So I'll look at this link, www.springer.com. It was posted by Heidelberg, August 26, 2013. Title: Video games do not make vulnerable teens more violent. Let's see. According to Christopher Ferguson of Stevenson. Okay, so this is another article where Heidelberg, is that right? Heidelberg, I guess this is kind of his opinion, but he does speak of a research that was found by another professor. Let's see, according to Christopher Ferguson of Stetson University and independent researcher Shel Olson from the U.S. in a study published in Springer's Journal of Youth and Adolescence, found that playing such games actually have had a little flaming effect. Apparently, by their research, they found that playing video games actually has had a slight claiming effect on the youth with attention deficit systems and help to reduce their aggression and bullying behavior. States that Ferguson and Olson studied 377 American children, on average 13 years of age, from various ethnic groups who had clinically elevated attention deficit or depressive symptoms. The children were part of an existing large federally funded project that examines the effect of video game violence on youth. Let's see. So far, this article looks like something that I will use on the research paper. Mainly because the research that was done was from professionals, a professional researcher and a professor from a university. Is mainly where I get all my information from, and my credibility from professors that's actually done the research. Let's see. Ferguson and Olson's findings do not support the popular belief that violent video games increase aggressions in youth who have a predisposition to mental health problems. The researchers found no association between the playing of violent video games and subsequent increased delinquent criminality or bullying in children with either clinically elevated depression or attention. That's it.